What is the state of the Wizards franchise? And is Cooper Flagg or bust, or what other options could be available to the Washington Wizards in an upcoming NBA draft? And we got a special guest tonight. Come on, rock with us. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again, a.k.a. BScott, with my guy Abdullah, a.k.a. AB. And we are both credentialed members of the NBA media and your hosts here at Locked On Wizards. But we got a special guest tonight, a returning guest, that is, my guy, rapper Big Pooh. How you doing tonight, brother?
Good, man. Glad to be here. Always glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We always appreciate having you on here, man. Like I said, as you know, man, since I came out the womb, I was an underground hip-hop head, man. So like I said, it's definitely a pleasure to have you on here, man. I say it all the time, man. When you talk about Tribe, when you talk about the Roots, you got to talk about LB. I'm trying to tell you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So like I said, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Pretty much talking about the state of the franchise. We're looking at the young core. Jordan Poole, is he here to stay, or is he on the way out? Same thing, Corey Kispert. And we're going to look at the draft a little bit, and we're going to get your take on who should the focus be if the Wizards miss out on Cooper Flagg. All right. So we're going to start first things first, a young core. And you look at this young core, man. All 5 draft picks underneath Will Dawkins have been hits. And obviously the work still started. You know, a lot of development still needs to happen. But when you look at Bilal, you look at Vucevic, Alex Sarr, Bob Carrington, and Keyshawn George, how impressed are you with what the direction is with this team going forward?
Man, I'm very impressed. First of all, these are all teenagers.
Yeah.
You know, I know Keyshawn 20, he the oldest, but not a lot of experience. So they're all teenagers, and you can see. I think the most impressive thing is being able to see the development over the season, especially with Keyshawn. You
Yeah.
know, and even Alex Sarr going from summer league where people was calling him a bust when he went 0 for 15 or whatever to now, you know, scoring 16 in the quarter. So I think the thing I'm most impressed with is the development and the fact that in a draft where people said is one of the worst drafts we've seen in a long time, the Wizards were able to find 3 that were drafted and 1 that was traded for picks in that draft, and they all look like if they continue their development, they can be at the very least rotational pieces for the future.
Oh, absolutely. I agree 100%. And like I said, I actually caught up with Keyshawn and Bob Carrington after the game last night, man. And look, I mean, when I mentioned weak draft, they're like, oh, man, nah, we don't look at it as weak draft. You know, they look at the Wizards picked up 3 high impact guys in this draft, man. Even though a lot of experts saying it's weak, but when you look at a lot of these guys in as finalists for Rookie of the Year, there's a lot of talent in this draft. Zach Edey, the list goes on. You know, Jalen Wells just came down with an injury, man. There's a lot of talent in this draft. So, AB, I'm asking you real quick, man. Star power. Out of all these young guys, man, who carries the most star power right now?
I think, again, that Denver Nuggets game with career high, Alex Sarr having 34, and then defensive upside. I just think right there and there, and it just matches Sarr, like all the stars, no pun intended, align. I just feel like with Alex, his ability to put the ball on the floor and essentially be a 3-level scorer, I think he can get to that eventually. He can be that top 5, top 10 center that we're been needing for so long here in DC. Keyshawn, sniper. I think eventually he's going to come into that role, and unfortunately see Corey Kispert out the window because he's 1 foot out. And I think Bob Carrington, I mean, coming off a career high as well, he's a monster as well. So between him and Bub and Sarr, I mean, I think Sarr gets the edge just because I think the center position is he's just so talented with his frame. But I wouldn't be surprised if Bub is just as of a star as him.
Oh, okay. I can rock with that. I can definitely rock with that. So I think we all agree that the young core here in DC is legit. Now, obviously, with the draft coming up, they got 2 first-round picks, prospectively 2 first-round picks. So, I mean, Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, you cannot miss in the top 3. But let's talk about some gray area guys. When I call them gray area guys, but young guys who fit the timeline but could be trade pieces. So, Pooh, man, when you look at Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, when you look at even Corey Kispert, which one of these guys do you see are definitely on the move, and who could be long-term pieces?
I think Sadiq Bey will probably be here because he's coming off the injury. He didn't play this year. So I see him. If he was to be traded, I think he'll be the last of the 3. Corey Kispert might be first out.
Yeah.
He might be the first one out. Although he fits, you know, what's going on, every team can use a shooter like Corey Kispert, who will probably get way better looks on the team with a star on it.
Yeah.
And then Jordan Poole, I think, is playing his way back into being tradable. Uh, And I think if they end up in a position where they're drafting a Dylan Harper versus Flag, then I can definitely see Jordan Poole being out sooner rather than later. If they end up with a Cooper Flag, or Ace Bailey, then it may prolong, depending on Bub and AJ Johnson's, development. With cool, but I like the fact that Poole has become a good veteran,
Yeah.
for somebody that's only 25, 26 years old. Yes, he still has the moments where you be like, come on, dog. But for the most part, it's what they needed though, right?
Yeah.
Like they need him to take them shots and to score them points and do them things. So I like how Jordan Poole has developed, during his time in Washington, especially his season. So, but with that being said, yeah, he can get gone too if the trade value is high enough, he can be gone as well. Dawkins have shown you that. Signed Denny Avdia, really loved Bub and his upside. Not Denny Avdia. like, and we see what Denny is doing in Portland. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's I just see I like the fact that they have a type of player that they want, as far as build,
Yeah.
tools, attitude, and those things. And that's what they're doing. They're going to find those guys. And, unfortunately, Corey Kispert, predates them. And they signed him to a great deal, the great extension. And obviously the Jordan Poole, came in the trade, in the whole Brad Bill trade. So, you know, I think those and then Sadiq Bey, obviously. He's a little
Yeah.
older than the rookies, but I think those three all have a possibility to be traded, with Sadiq Bey more than likely being the last to be traded.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, like you said with Will Dawkins, let him cook, man. Let him cook because he's made some good deals. I'm trying to tell you, this trade deadline was probably the best deadline I've seen in a long time. I mean, when you look at the deals, I mean, Kobe Jones is a baller, and not many people knew who he was. But I told people, I said, look, keep your eye on Kobe Jones, keep your eye on AJ Johnson, because the fact that they were just, AJ Johnson is a rookie too. So when you look at his previous draft, you can add that as another first round pick. I mean, you
Mhm.
found four guys who are high impact prospects in a weak draft. So, I have all the confidence in the world that Will's going to do his thing in a loaded draft. So, AB, I mean, what are you thinking, man?
No, definitely. Again, I full confidence in this new crew. I know the bar was set so low with Tommy Shepard and previous
Yeah.
GMs like Ernie Grunfeld, but I think with the Wizards, I'm a big fan of Corey Kispert when he came out of Gonzaga, but unfortunately, I just don't think he fits the timeline because again, you see the emergence of Keyshawn George, and he wasn't Will Dawkins' guy. He wasn't picked by him in the NFL. NBA is a business, and at the end of the day, if you're not part of the timeline, you're essentially out the window. I think Sadiq Bey before that injury was averaging 15 to 20 points, so he could be a key contributor. I think when he comes back, it'll take some time ease into him, but he'll be fine. And I think Jordan Poole, I think he's proven enough that he should be the point guard of the future. But like Rapper Pooh mentioned, if the trade value is there, and I think we talked about the other day, be 2 first round picks essentially, it's going to be hard to deny that, especially if they're high end draft picks where you could essentially change the trajectory of this franchise if you want to get younger. So I think for the Wizards, big JP fan, but if they somehow get out of the Cooper Flagg sweepstakes, hopefully not, because I want him to be a Wizard so freaking badly. JP could be on the move, but I think just his ability to make his presence felt here in DC, he getting better, improving. A lot of people didn't like him at the beginning. His tenure here in DC didn't start off the greatest, but he's gotten better. And I just don't want him to be traded. I would be a little upset, but at the end of the day, whatever this front office does, I have full faith in they know what they're doing.
Nah, don't get it twisted, man. I'm a big fan of JP13, man. But I mean, look, like you said, it's a business. And what separates your average GM to your Sam Presties is you've got to make those risky moves, man. I mean, Denny Avdia, yeah, it was a risky move, but sometimes you gotta subtract a little bit to add, and it is what it is. You got to make those risky moves because again, that's what separates you from those GMs who their teams hoist that Larry O'Brien trophy. So Denny, yeah, not many people were happy with the Denny move, but Bub Carrington, he looks like a star, and he's a local product, so not too upset with that. But looking at Jordan Poole, looking at Sadiq Bey, looking at Corey Kispert, they're gonna put them all on the market. I'm trying to tell you right now. And if you find a deal that's too good to be true, I mean, 2 first rounders. I mean, as much as I like JP13, look,
To do
man,
it.
you gotta make that move, man. You gotta make that move any day of the week, man. So I'm with you, fellas, with that. You look, can't get attached to these guys, man. Like I said, especially when you look at young guys. When you look at it at this perspective, which is you already got 5 guys already drafted, right? You got 2 first round picks in this draft coming up. 2026, you got 2 more first round picks. So, I mean, that's 9 guys. And you got to believe that not every young guy on the roster is going to be on the roster when it's all said and done. You know, there's going to have to be some hard choices, man. So, especially when you look at Sadiq Bey and Jordan Poole, both had 2 years left in the deals. If you like Jordan Poole, you're going to have to pay to keep him around, man. So, that's a hard decision they're going to have to make. So, let's talk about the veterans, man. Marcus Smart, Chris Middleton, and Rashawn Holmes. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready. They swish, you save. Thanks to DoorDash, every time a player drops 50 or more points in the game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When a player scores 50 or more in the game during the 2024 and 2025 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off. Good Lord. The next day from noon to midnight. And like I said all the time, guys, look, just get home from work, don't want to cook, order DoorDash. If you're smoking, drinking, don't want to leave, don't want to get in trouble, look, order DoorDash. Do yourself a favor, right? Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When a player scores 50 or more in the game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible items or orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash.com to learn more. All right, let's get back into this thing. So, talking about the vets, man. Every team needs some veterans, right? And Sean Holmes, Chris Middleton, Marcus Smart have all came in, brought some energy, brought some toughness, but much needed leadership and experience. So, Pooh, out of all these guys they acquired at the deadline, looking at Marcus Smart and Chris Middleton, and Sean Holmes was already on the roster, which one of these guys has had the most impact on this young squad?
And Chris Middleton.
Okay.
It may be him and Smart, but I know he played more. Smart wasn't playing when he first got here. I think Chris Middleton, because if you look at their record post-trade deadline, up until they started, sitting guys doing what they need to do, you would see like he fits perfectly into he's low efficiency, or high efficiency, low maintenance, fits right in. He's the connector that they needed. Obviously, he's won a championship. He's a little older, so he can give, and he's only playing like 20 minutes a game, right? So he don't need 30 minutes on the floor, none of that. And Marcus Smart the same way. He hasn't won a championship, but former defensive player of the year, high competitor, and I think the biggest thing is that they're willing to be the mentors and the teachers that this young team needed. And you can see, and Rashawn Holmes, I don't want to forget Rashawn Holmes. He was here, but he can have 15 DMPs in a row and come out and play like he play every night. And he brings energy, rebound, toughness. And I think you need the right type of veterans on a team this young. Like it has to be the right, and it has to be veterans that can still play, but doesn't commandeer the time. Those type of veterans. And I think Dawkins and Maneuvering got the exact type of veterans he needed for this team. And, once again, man, you got to let Dawkins cook, man. He's showing you time and time again that, he's made, I believe he's made a few mistakes, in the past, with not trading guys or whatever, but he's showing you time and time again, he understands what this team needs. He understands what they're looking for, and he's putting the right people in the right situation.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. AB, you kind of echo that sentiment?
No, definitely, 100%. The veterans that we had the first half of the season, as B loves to call him Zoolander, a lot of it was just a lot of shot chucking. And I think at the end of the day with him, it just wasn't, the body language wasn't there. You can see the young guys just didn't even want to look at him towards in game time scenarios. So the fact that you go from him, and I love JV, he did his thing. wasn't really much of a cancer compared to Zoolander, but you got Marcus Smart and Chris Middleton who come in and they're great mentors for our young guys in Bub Carrington and even Jordan Poole. And Marcus Smart defensively is a menace, and he's out there still playing. And I say it every night. When you're a losing team, it's hard to go out there and compete at 110%, but he's still going out there, giving it all he's got. Obviously, he's not in his prime at the Boston Celtics Marcus Smart days, but he's still going out there and proving why he should be an NBA caliber player and why teams should take him seriously. So at the end of the day, for this Wizards team, I love the mix that they have with these young guys, the draft capital coming up, and these mentors. And like you mentioned, Rashawn Holmes, Robert Pooh, I think he's done a great job. Whether he's not playing, he's still going out there and helping guys develop, like Tristan Vucevic, like Alex Sarr, maybe even potentially Derek Queen coming up soon. We don't know. We'll see. But I think it's a great group that we have here in DC, and you really couldn't ask for a better group of veterans.
No, I agree with both of you, man. I thought they were solid additions at the trade deadline. Now, in their respective moves, man, I do believe that A.J. Johnson was the headliner in the Milwaukee trade. Nothing against Chris Middleton, but like, if Chris was still that guy, he probably wouldn't have been he wouldn't have been the Wizards. So, but he can still play. He still has some gas left in the tank, and I think that's perfect for this Wizards because, like Pooh already mentioned, man, he's not going to command a lot of minutes. He still has gas left in the tank. He still play, but he still have an impact. But he's not going to be, have the focus offensively like he would in Milwaukee in his prime, man. Same thing with Marcus Smart. I mean, Marcus Smart is tough, man. I mean, I saw this brother take a charge, man, and he did some kind of karate move and jump back up. I mean, this guy is the real deal. I mean, kind of watching him from afar as an NBA fan is one thing, but watching him play for your team, you get more of an in-depth look. I mean, you need a Marcus Smart. Every team needs a Marcus Smart in the squad, man. It's kind of like a Draymond Green. Everybody needs a hard-nosed guy who's willing to dive and risk their body for the ball, man. The guy that fills all those statistical categories that does all the things that you don't fit in the category, right? So I'm big on Marcus Smart. Chris Middleton has done a great job. Rashawn Holmes, again, very limited at the center position, but I mean, the hustle, the heart, plays with a chip on his shoulder. I mean, he gets in there, gets those rebounds. He plays nasty in the paint. I mean, you got to respect that because most nights in the modern NBA, where most teams have a 7-footer, he's undersized, but he plays like a 7-footer, man, playing with this sheer toughness, man. So I'm a big fan of all three of them. But one guy we didn't talk about, Anthony Gill, man. And I was laughing about AG, man, because last night, man, he was dressed like Mr. Rogers, so we kind of messed with him a little bit last night. But AG is somebody we don't often talk about enough when it comes to leadership, man. And he's actually the longest tenured Wizard. So, I call him the player coach. What are your opinions, Boo, when it comes to Anthony Gill, man?
Anthony Gill he's the guy who, I think he leads by example for a guy that's basically at the end of the bench. He still come in, he get his work in, he does everything he needs to do. He's always ready, he's always prepared.
Yeah.
Even when there's a good chance if we actually roster in the full roster, I'm not gonna play. He's the first one off the bench to congratulate you, you subbing, all that, and you need guys like that. And I think what it does is it sets great examples for the young guys. Like, this is a professional. This is how a professional carries himself. This is how a professional operates. It doesn't matter if he's in the starting five or he's at the back of the bench, the end of the bench. This is how you're supposed to carry yourself. This is how you're supposed to take pride in your work, in your job, and in what you're doing. And I'm pretty sure he's a good example for these guys off the floor as well. So, I like we've been talking about, I think Dawkins finally has assembled a great group of veterans for this young team. All veterans with, something left in the tank. And all veterans that's going to be great for your young roster off the floor, because they're learning how to be professionals and grown men, off the floor as well. It's not just on the floor. So you need that type of leadership off the floor as well. So I think this is a great group and you got to keep great veterans around when you're building a young team.
Yeah, I mean, I echo that, man. This is the best locker room I've seen in DC in a long time. And, you brought up character. You brought up, I think when they look at prospects, they're looking at guys who, if they check certain boxes, are they coachable? When you look at all 5 draft picks, man, they want to be coached. They want to get better. I mean, Bilal, he's still raw offensively, but you see a guy who wants to get better. And once he figures out a consistent offensive game, he's going to be rolling. And Alex Sarr got better every single week. So, you're 100% correct. Do you want to be coachable? I think that's one of the things when you look at the draft process, you don't want to also look at the physicality of the player, right? You want to look at certain traits. Are they coachable? Do they want to be coached? Do they want to get better? Do they want to expand their game? I'm pretty sure the Philly knew that Ben Simmons didn't want to add no jumper. He probably would not have drafted the brother, man. So I'm just saying, those things matter. So I'm gonna roll with you, AB. Anthony Gill, man. I mean, the player coach. I mean, what is it that you like about Anthony Gill, man?
I mean, one thing I don't like is he was a UVA product, but we won't get into that. But yeah, no, I definitely like going back to being coachable. A lot of fans look at winning on the court, which is good. That's what we want to see as fans. But also off the court, this Wizards organization, it's a whole 180 now. You mentioned the locker room, the front office. It's just no drama, and it's all about business, and that's what we love to see. I get it, 17-win season, 15 wins last year. Not that much of a difference, but it is improvement. But it just goes to show that this team is progressing in the right direction, the youth movement. And that's something that we haven't seen here in so long. There's been so much of drama and pointing fingers and the blame game. But now it's you bring in these young guys who are getting developed by the right people. And I think Brian Keefe is the right guy that can lead him to a championship. And I get it, Mike Malone getting fired, all these head coaches getting fired, everyone wants to hire them. I just don't I don't understand it because, again, they went over there, but just bringing him here isn't going to solve anything. Work with what you got. And I'm happy about it. And guys like Anthony Gill make NBA teams who they are. A guy that can solidify himself, whether he's not playing 1 minute or 20 minutes, he's still going out there with heart and still being a mentor for these young guys and just not being a locker room cancer, because it's easier said than done. But there's a lot of NBA players who make it harder than it has to be for their prospective teams. So that's my take on it. I just think a guy like AG, you can't take him for granted because not a lot of NBA teams have that type of guy.
Absolutely. I can't disagree. I agree more. I'm about to say disagree. Look at that. All right. So we're going to move focus, man. But before we do, we're going to talk about the draft a little bit. And then we're going to talk about some other things, man. We're going to chop it up about some music real quick. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Gametime. There's nothing like the energy of a live game, right? Whether it's catching a last-minute MLB showdown or soaking the excitement of the NBA matchup. But finding great seats at a great price, that used to be a challenge, right? Until I found Gametime. Gametime makes scoring last-minute tickets easier than ever. Prices actually drop as the event gets closer. And with their all-in pricing, you see the total upfront with no surprise fees to check out. Like I said, out of all the ticket apps I rolled through, Gametime's the best, man. I just got tickets to the Nationals and O's game, man, in Camden Yards. So I was able to get pretty good seats, man, which came with drinks and food. So they definitely let you know what are the best seats, what is the view, and everything you need to know before you spend money on those tickets, man. So look, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, that's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, man. So we're gonna shift focus to the draft real quick, and then we're gonna chop it up about some music, man. Because my guy Pooh, man, he's got a tour coming up, man. So we definitely gonna put some information out there so y'all can definitely get some tickets, man. So real quick, the draft coming up. Right now, it was put out today that 3 teams, including the Wizards, have a 14% chance at landing Cooper Flagg at #1 overall. So looking at #1 overall, obviously, I think everybody agrees Cooper Flagg's that guy, two-way prospect, star appeal. But I'm gonna roll with I'm gonna start with you, Pooh. We get #3. Who you rolling with at the 3rd pick?
That's a good question. I guess for me, it's whoever is remaining between Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I think those are the top 3 players in the draft. I know it's a lot of people are a little down on Ace Bailey. He didn't show, he was anything other than a shot tough taker and maker in college. But once again, we're talking about a teenager. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about somebody that can come in and yes, he could take and make them tough shots. So imagine what he can do when he actually taking some easy ones. You know what I'm saying? He's 6'10". He's athletic. It's like those don't grow on trees. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think just looking at what Dawkins has drafted, if Ace Bailey is the pick, this would be the pick he takes that's coming in, and he has more offensive game than any pick Dawkins has picked already. Probably all of them together, So, those are my top 3. So if we was in 3, I'm Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey. Who's left? That's who I'm going to get.
Okay, I can rock with that. AB, what you thinking, man? I'm gonna switch it up on you, AB. You ain't getting 3rd, you getting 2nd. Who you rolling with number 2, man?
Third is I think a little more of a nightmare scenario, but second,
Yeah.
I think Cooper Flagg is going at one, fortunately, and for me, I get it, best player available, and a lot of speculation about these two guys at Rutgers because again, they didn't make the March Madness tournament. How much of that is on them? How much is that on the team itself? And I just fit wise, I think we're good in the guard room. So I think it would make sense to go with Ace Bailey because again, that size, wing position, especially if Bilal Koulibaly, hopefully not, but if he doesn't take that year 3 jump offensively that we expect, I think Ace Bailey can be the guy that can do that. And again, if you really think Dylan Harper is that much better than Ace Bailey, then maybe consider. But I just think you go over where they need the more position and the more firepower in that wing position. And if you trade back and maybe pair Derek Queen with Alex Hart, that would be nice as well. I just feel like you got to go best player available, but also make sure you fit that need as well.
No, I agree with both of y'all, man. And Pooh really brought up a good point, which is he's still a teenager. Like you can still mold him. The MO right now is development and rebuilding, right? So if you look at all the draft picks we have, 5 draft picks under Will Dogs, but throw AJ Johnson and Kobe Jones in there, right? Every one of them are moldable. Like they're not the finished product right now. I mean, they still have ways to go till they're that guy. Like, even Bilal, once he adds the offensive game, then yeah, watch out, right? But right now he's relatively raw, man, especially with that 3-point shot, because you need some more arc to it. And like I said, I kind of watched him shoot last night. He's been kind of getting some on-court work, man, and he's starting to add a little more arc. And he looked pretty good. I mean, I get his shoot around, but it's progress. But these guys can still be molded. Pooh said earlier, man, Jordan Poole's still developing. He's still at an age where he's not that final product yet. He's still developing. His usually the prime in the NBA is really, around 26 to 27 to age 31. So he's not, he's about to enter his prime. He's not even in his prime yet. So he's still learning how to be that point guard from being a combo guard. And he's a guy who could be a point guard and he can also play off ball. So, the combo guard is really the MO. Versatility is the MO of the NBA now. And if you look at what the Wizards are trying to do is, versatility. The guys who can guard and play multiple positions. You see that with every player has been drafted. I mean, Vucevic played the 5 and the 4, right? Bilal, 2, 3, probably the 4. He's got the size. Keyshawn George, he's been playing power forward, but he's a guy who's definitely could, be a secondary ball handler because his whole career he's been a point guard, so he carries those ball skills with him, man. Alex Sarr, Swiss Army knife, play the 4 or 5. So you guys kind of see what I'm saying is that Will Dawkins is building this team in the modern day mold of where the NBA is going, which is practically positionless basketball. Look at Oklahoma City. You got guys who can probably guard 1 through 5. I mean, they're building versatile team that can defend. So I agree 100% with you guys, man. So we're gonna shift focus real quick. Like I said, on Little Brother's YouTube page, man, the documentary came out. I was checking it out, man, and like I said, definitely intrigued, man. And we often talk about chemistry and relationships, right? Checking out the documentary. Kind of check it out between you and Ninth and kind of get in there. I'm not going to get in too deep about it, but getting to the mode of chemistry, man. When it comes to the realm of groups, man, and you see this not only with LB, you saw with Gangstar, with Guru and Premier at the end, Tribe Called Quest, subsequently their ending wasn't what they envisioned, man. But how important is chemistry when it comes to music, man? Being in a group, like how important is having that chemistry, man?
Very important. If you want it to feel like one versus feeling like this person and this person came together and
Yeah,
you want it to feel seamless, then chemistry is very important. And the thing with groups is it's not just making music, right?
yeah,
It's business, it's shows, it's all types of things that people don't really take into account when you're talking about being in a group and having, part of chemistry is having the understanding, and it's understanding how each other works, is understanding how each of us process things, is understanding how we, um, things that we want to do versus things we don't. So it's having that understanding, and that's part of what goes into chemistry, and it takes work.
yeah,
Like we had Fonte and I had natural chemistry
yeah,
from the jump, but to get where we are now, that took a lot of work,
yeah,
and this work we didn't know we needed to do, but work nonetheless. So it's very important, man. Chemistry, as we see on the basketball court, when you got a team or the 5 people on the court, they're locked in and they understand each other, understand what the goal, the whole goal is, the holistic goal of the team. It's a much better product.
yeah.
Um, and that's what it is in music as well. When you have a team of people, no matter the size, that's locked in and understand what's going on and have the same goal, then you have, it's a much better experience for the fan.
Oh, absolutely. And I would say this about LB, man. Because like I said, I came out the womb as underground hip hop head, man. Like I said, when I was in the military, when I was in Iraq, man, it was the LB albums that kind of was my go-to, man. It got me through some times, man. So, like I said, hip hop's just my go-to, it's my therapy, man. One thing I like about LB, man, is that there's so much talent that is in one group, man. And when you look at other groups, normally when they break up, they're not as good solo. Like, I love Gangstar, but outside of Jasmine Taz series, man, like some of the solo stuff by Guru, one of the biggest fan of, and and you see other groups like that. But with you guys, man, you guys were money together. But then when you went, like you said, I still rock your stuff, man. I still got your music in the car right now. I'm about to go pick up my kid and listen to your joint, man. So like I said,
Thank you.
you guys just were able to find success, whether it was collectively as a group or a solo artist, man. And it just shows you how much talent was involved with LB, man. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I was, when I found out you were from Northern Virginia, man, I was like, okay. And then, like I said, I was watching this documentary, and then when you brought up, man, I'm a Virginia guy, I was like, okay, let's get it, man. Because, like I said, I'm a Virginia guy too, man, for Northern VA, man. So definitely appreciate you, man. So before we roll, AB, man, you got any questions for Pooh real quick, or you got anything else you want to cover, man?
Unfortunately, sorry, man. I'm 22 years old, so I don't know much. I'm still doing my research. I'm still trying to get my music taste is just not that good. Growing up, a lot of it was just because of my friends and just listening to them. So I'm not really good when it comes to having my own opinion about music, but definitely will research and appreciate again taking your time, man. This means a lot. It's always good to talk ball, sports with different people, hearing different perspectives, and I had fun. This was great.
Oh, absolutely, you, man. Hey, AB, let me tell you something, man. Let me give you some advice. Tonight, listen to the listening. And that's all I got to tell you, man. That's all I'm going to tell you, right? Because I'm telling you, yeah. So, all right, man. Pooh, man, definitely appreciate you taking time, man. As always, man, we're definitely going to have you back on here, man. Got the tour coming up. Tell us a little bit about the tour, man.
Yeah, this curtain call, the final tour. This is Little Brother's final tour. Starting, we have dates starting May 24th. We're in Baltimore. Then we do another festival, and then we have venue dates. Tickets are on sale right now. You can go to littlebrothernc.com, get the tickets, see the flyer, and then you can also, for the dates that's not on the actual littlebrothernc.com, you can go to the specific venue or festival dates and get the tickets. So they're on sale right now. Unfortunately, if you're in the Raleigh, North Carolina area, or you plan to come to Raleigh, tickets are sold out. Shout out to everybody that bought their ticket for Raleigh. 24-hour sellout. Amazing. So tickets on sale right now. This is the final run. Please don't think, we this is gimmicks or ploys or any of that. It's not any of that. This is the final run. When this is over, it's going to take a very extraordinary circumstance for us to ever think about getting on the stage again as Little Brother. So, yeah, just please, thank you to everybody that's already got their tickets. And if you don't wait, get your tickets. It's going to be a time. It's going to be exciting. And we're going to celebrate. It's not a sad story. It's a celebration.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. So look, if you want some caviar for the ears, check out LB. I'm trying to tell y'all, man. So, all right, man. Again, appreciate your time today, man. Like I said, we definitely gonna have you back on the show, man. I definitely wanted to get your perspective on our young whiz kids, man. So look, the future's bright in the 202. So again, definitely would shout out to and appreciate my guy, Rapper Big Pooh, man. So we're gonna go ahead and call it a night. We'll catch everybody next time. Hail to the Wizards and peace.